Welcome back. I am so thrilled you're here today because we're talking about something that separates the good agents from the great ones. We are talking about scale, specifically how to handle 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions at the same time without having a complete mental breakdown and losing your mind. Now, I know some of you are listening and thinking, 20 transactions, I can barely handle like 5. And that's okay. That is perfectly fine. That is exactly why we're here and why you need to hear this. Because the strategies I'm about to share are not just for high volume agents, they are for anyone out there who wants to grow their business without sacrificing their sanity. So let me start by busting a myth. And the myth is that handling more transactions means working more hours. Wrong. If you want to double your business, that you need to double your work time. Wrong. That is absolutely false. Okay. And here, it's actually the lie that keeps agents stuck. But I want to give you the truth. And the truth is the agents who are successfully managing 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions, they're not working 80 hours a week. They're working smarter, not harder. And they're not trading time for money. They've built systems. They've built systems that actually multiply their effectiveness without multiplying their hours. So how do they do it? I want to break down the 5 key strategies to help you do this. Strategy number 1 is standardization. Okay, this is going to be the foundation for everything. You absolutely cannot scale chaos. If every transaction is a unique snowflake, if you're reinventing the wheel every single time, you're going to hit a wall. And that wall is usually going to be about 8 to 10 transactions. So what does standardization look like? Okay, I want to break down what this looks like for you. So you have a checklist for every type of transaction. All right, buyer transactions follow the same process every time. Seller transactions follow the same process every time. Listing appointments, same script every single time. There's no guessing. There's no, okay, what do I have to do next? You follow a system. Now, I know that some of you are probably thinking, but every transaction is different and every client is different. And yes, that's true. But 80% of what you do is the same thing every single time. It's the same emails, the same phone calls, the same coordination, the same documents. Standardize the 80%, and you will free up your mental energy for the 20% that actually requires your unique experience. Okay? Now, strategy number 2 is batching. This is an absolute game changer. So instead of switching between different types of tasks all day long, you need to batch similar tasks together. And here's what I mean by this. So let's say that you need to send a listing update email to 5 different sellers. Okay. You don't send them one at a time throughout the day as you think of it. I want you to set aside 30 minutes, pull your email templates up, knock them all out at the same time. Okay. Your brain stays in email writing mode. You get into that flow and you finish in a fraction of the time. Now, the same goes for phone calls. Block out an hour for client calls. So make all of your calls back to back. You're going to find that you're sharper, you're more confident, you're way more efficient if you're just making calls sporadically throughout the day. Let's talk about showings. Let's schedule showings back to back. Review documents in batches. Update your CRM in batches. The key is to minimize context switching because, again, if you go back to, I think it's like episode number 2, it takes you 23 minutes to refocus after you've been sidetracked. Okay, so we're going to try to minimize that switching around. And every time you switch from one type of task to another, your brain needs that time to recalibrate. So batching eliminates that. Now, strategy number 3 is delegation and specialization. This is where a lot of agents, they resist this, but it's really, really critical if you want to scale your business because you have to understand that you cannot do everything by yourself and you shouldn't do everything by yourself. So I want you to think about what you're actually good at, what generates revenue, what you love to do, because for most agents, that is going to be client relationships. It's going to be negotiations and listing presentations and strategic problem solving. That's where most of you are going to shine, where you're going to add the most value. Everything else, somebody else can do it and probably do it better than you. Transaction coordination, document preparation, scheduling, email management, marketing, social media, all of those are tasks that should be and can be delegated. Now, I know that some of you are probably thinking, okay, I cannot afford to hire someone right now. Here's my question for you. Can you afford not to hire someone right now? Let's do the math. If you are spending 20 hours a week on admin tasks that someone else could do for $20 an hour, that's $400 a week. That's $1,600 a month. Okay? Now, if those 20 hours were spent on revenue generating activities, how many more transactions would you close? Even if it's only 2 more transactions per year, you've already paid for that help 10 times over. And here's the thing, you don't have to hire somebody full time. You don't have to hire them, right out of the gate full time. You can start with a virtual assistant for like 10 hours a week, or hire a transaction coordinator per transaction. Test it out, see how much time and how much mental energy it frees up, because I promise you, once you experience what it's like to have help, you're never going to go back to doing it alone. Okay, strategy number 4 is proactive communication. Now, I know when you're handling multiple transactions, you cannot afford to be reactive. You cannot wait for clients to reach out to you, asking you what's happening. You need to be ahead of them. So here's what proactive communication looks like. At the beginning of every transaction, you set your expectations. You tell your clients exactly what to expect, when to expect it, how you're going to communicate to them. You send them weekly updates. Even when there's nothing major happening, you can send them weekly updates. Hey, just wanted to check in. Just wanted to let you know we're still on track for closing. Here's where we are in the process. Here's what's coming up next. This does 2 things, okay? Number 1, it keeps your clients feeling taken care of, even when you're not personally talking to them every day. And number 2, it dramatically reduces the number of, hey, just checking in, calls and texts that you get, because your client already knows what is happening. You are ahead of the game. And here's the secret, is that most of this communication can be automated. So you can set up those email sequences that automatically go out based on where the transaction is in the timeline. And then your clients get consistent, helpful communications that you didn't even have to manually write, and it sends the email for you. Okay? All right, strategy number 5. This is the systems and technology. So I've said this, I've saved this for the last because it's the biggest multiplier. Everything I've talked about, standardization, batching, delegation, proactive communication, all of it is exponentially more effective when you have the right systems in place. Now, I am talking specifically about transaction management software, because it automates deadlines, it sends reminders, it generates documents, it keeps everything organized in one place. I'm also talking about our CRM systems that manage your client relationships, follow up. I'm talking about email templates, automations. They handle the routine communication. And the reality is, a good agent with good systems can handle 3 times as many transactions as an agent without systems, in the same amount of time or less time, with a lot less stress. And that is not an exaggeration. That is what I see every single day. Okay. I worked with an agent who was stuck at about 12 transactions a year. She was working 60-hour weeks, constantly stressed out, thinking, what else can I do to get out of this business? So we implemented these 5 strategies. We standardized her processes, set up batch routines, hired a part-time VA, created proactive communication templates, and got her proper transaction management software. Within 6 months, she closed 18 transactions. Within a year, 30. And here's the kicker. She wasn't working 40 hours a week. She was working 40 hours a week, 40 hours instead of 60. So she had her evenings back. She had her weekends back. She had time to spend with her family. She wasn't stressed out anymore. Same person, same market, different systems. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your current capacity right now. I want you to write down how many transactions are you handling right now? And how does it feel to handle those transactions right now? Are you in control? Does it feel like the transactions are controlling you? Now, I want you to imagine doubling that number. What would break? What systems would you need to have in place? What are all the tasks that you would need to delegate? Don't wait until you're drowning to figure this out. You build the systems now while you have the bandwidth to do it. Because the truth is, your income potential in real estate is not limited by the market. It's not limited by your competition. It's limited by your systems. Fix your systems, fix your ceiling. All right. Now, next week, we're diving into one of my favorite topics, and that is how to keep clients happy and loyal without being available 24/7. And you are not going to want to miss this. I want to thank you for being here today. If you're getting value from these episodes, do me a favor and leave me a rating and a review. It really helps the show to grow. And if you know of another agent who needs to hear this message, please feel free to send them the link, and I will talk to you soon.